What's up everyone, this is Asadullah Chaudhary, and in today's lesson I'm going to show you how you can fetch the data from the database without page refresh. So I'll be using PHP5 and AJAX method, which comes up with its AJAX get method, which comes up with jQuery. Okay, so let me show you the end result. There it is. If I click USA, the USA cities will be fetched from the database without page refresh, and if I click Canada, so these are the Canadian cities. If I click Pakistan, so these are the Pakistani cities. Okay, so it's time to start writing the codes. I'm going to create my first file, which is going to be my PHP file. I'm going to save this file inside XAMPP directory, which has htdocs directory, and I like to put my own directory inside htdocs, and which is going to be AJAX DB. And the file name is gonna be index.php. I would need a couple of more files, so this next file is gonna be the CSS file. I would like to put my CSS and JavaScript inside public directory in respective folders, CSS, and this one is JS to put my JavaScript files. So now I'm gonna save my CSS file, style.css, another file which is gonna be my JavaScript file, script.js. I'm gonna generate my markup HTML, and on line number 4 is, as usual, the meta chart set character encoding, and which is UTF-8, and the title is gonna be fetch data using AJAX get method jQuery. So now it's time to link my external style sheet, which is inside public CSS, and the file name was style.css. Now it's time to include the jQuery. I'm not gonna download it, but instead I'm gonna use the Google hosted libraries. So for this I'm gonna open up google.com and Google hosted jQuery. Either you can download the jQuery or you can go like this. I need this code snippet. It's a latest version, and let me paste. So the jQuery has been included. So now it's time to include my script file. Script source public JS and script.js. Script.js is a file where I will write my JavaScript code, the jQuery code, sorry. Okay, so now it's time to start writing the main part. The first div is gonna be the container ID wrapper. It's a main wrapper, and this main wrapper is containing another div, which is drop down. So this is gonna contain the select drop down list ID. ID is gonna be country ID. So the first option is gonna be select a country. Okay, so before writing the text, I have to go back to show you the database. I've already created one. There it is. Actually, there it is. It's the database name is country-db. It has two tables. The first table is the second table is country, and it has four of the countries: Pakistan, India, Canada, and USA. So each of the countries have some specific unique ID: 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I open up the city table, the city table has 4 countries for each cities. So as you notice, the country ID is over here, that is referencing the country name. It's a foreign key, and the one means Pakistan. If I go back, check the country ID. So the ID number 1 is for Pakistan. There it is. So ID number 4 is for USA. So if I go back to the cities table, if I check the ID number 4, that means these cities belongs to USA: New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Boston. Alright, so now I have to write the value, which is 1, Pakistan. Actually, this is the country ID. Value equal to 1. 1 is the country ID, which is for Pakistan. Two, 3, and 4. The ID number 2 was for India, 3 for Canada, and the ID number 4 was for USA. I think there's something wrong with my keyboard. So far so good. If now I have to go ahead and write another div tag, not in uppercase, but it should be in the lowercase. Div ID, which is going to be result. The ID is going to be result, because this is supposed to display our result that will be coming from the database. Alright, so it's time to start writing some CSS. So first of all, I'm going to target the wrapper, but I don't need to target the wrapper actually. I have to target this drop down. Drop down which has some border, solid 1 pixel, light gray. It's not a good practice to choose these color names, but you should use the color codes instead. I mean, these color names create problems on different browsers, so the best way is to go with the color codes instead. Okay, so I'm gonna give it some width, and the width is gonna be 30%. Okay, so now it's time to target that drop down menu, the select list items. The width is gonna be 100%. I think I should put this drop down wrapper in the middle of the page. So margin 100 pixels auto. The 100 pixels mean margin from the top and down, and the auto means the margin from left and right. Let me open it up in my browser. Localhost AJAX DB. So the page looks like this. I think I should apply some padding to this drop down list as well. It would look a little better. 10 pixels. Now it looks a bit better. Okay, so now I'm gonna target the result section. Solid 1 pixel light gray. And the height is gonna be 200 pixels. Now if I refresh the page looks like this. I have to reduce its width as well. I'm talking about the result portion. Its width is also gonna be 30%. Refresh, and margin 0 from top and bottom, and auto from left and right, just to put it in the center of the page. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna put a heading tag right here, h2, result. And in the CSS I'm gonna target this heading. That was heading 2 or heading 3? That was heading 2. Text align center. Font family is gonna be Verdana. Let me make it 70 pixels. So the page looks like this. So now it's time to start writing the jQuery. I'm gonna go to the script file. So the first function is gonna be document dot ready. It's a callback function. So as soon as the document would be properly loaded, we would be ready to do something. Okay, so now it's time to bind some select event with this select list. For this I'm gonna write dollar, and the ID selector is, the ID was country ID dot change. So I'm gonna bind the change event with this list. So as soon as any change occurs, the request would be sent to the server and the data would be fetched. Function, this function will be called and something would happen here. Just to make sure if it's working or not, I'm gonna write console.log dollar this means the current object. It's referencing to this object. Okay, and the val, I'm gonna make sure if I'm getting the same specific value or not. I suppose to get the value 1, 2, 3 or 4 depending upon the selection. Let's suppose if I select Canada, so this should be this should be the value, and if I select USA, so 4 should be the value. Okay, so if I go back and if I right click the page, console. Okay, so if I click Pakistan, so here you can see the response Yeah, this is the response, and this is the ID for Pakistan, ID number 1. So if I select India, so this is the ID for India. Canada number 3, once again Pakistan number 1, USA number if I click USA number 4. So our code is working properly. So now it's time to send the request to the server using the AJAX get method. Okay, so first of all I have to mention the URL where I supposed to send this request. I think I should create the file as well, and I'm gonna name it fetch.php. It's a PHP file. So I supposed to send this request to fetch.php, and I have to get the country ID. Country ID is equals to this dot val. So I have to pass this country ID because our search criteria is depending upon this ID. So this country has nothing to do with this one. It's just a key, like you create the associative arrays in PHP. So you'll have the key value data instead of index numbers. So this is the key. I'm sending a JSON object. Okay, and this is I supposed to pass to this fetch.php just to fetch the data from the database. Country ID. So the next argument is gonna be the callback function, which is expecting some data from the server, or I can write server data or whatever. It's just a normal variable, so you can write anything. Okay, so now I just want to make sure if it's working properly or not. So again I'm gonna use this function console.log, and I'm gonna output this server data, whatever is coming back from the server data. And if I go to this fetch.php page, I would write some PHP code over here. The first one is gonna be the condition is set get. So you can see I'm using the get request method right here. So why I'm gonna do this, because I chose this get request method, the AJAX get method. So this should be matched with this one. Okay, so if the index in this get array with the name country was set, received $get country. So let's go back and check this in our browser. If I select Pakistan, so the ID was Pakistan. The Pakistan was successfully received on the server, and the response have been returned with this string received. So if I click Canada, it's working properly. Okay, so now I would like to put this country ID in some variable. country ID, and it's time to make connection with database. Connection is equals to MySQL connect. The first argument is going to be localhost, the second argument is going to be root, the third argument is going to be the password that I haven't set, and the fourth argument is going to be the database name, which was I forgot, country-db. If no connection, if the connection was not established, so this message would be displayed. Error connecting database, exit, and the execution will be exit on line number 9. If everything goes well, then this query will be executed. So the query is going to be select city name. I just want to fetch the city name. So if I go back to the city table, this is what I'm talking about. Depending upon the country ID, I have to fetch the city name. So this column name city_name should be exactly matched with this one. Otherwise, this query will not run. Okay, from city where this country ID is equal to the PHP variable country ID. And the result is gonna be MySQL query. So I have to pass 2 arguments now. The first argument is gonna be connection, and the second argument is gonna be the query. If MySQL num rows, and I'm gonna pass this result variable, MySQL, I misspelled that. If more than this if condition means if more than 0 rows were found, that means the query runs successfully and the data has been fetched. So I have to declare an array, and now it's time to fetch the data. Okay, so the data will be stored in this variable initially on each iteration. MySQL fetch soak, it will fetch only the associative array, and I have to pass a result to this function. Okay, so now I have to assign the cities to this array, and the index name is gonna be the same one, this country name, but I was expecting to fetch from database city. As soon as the loop terminates, so I have to echo out JSON encoded string. JSON is a JavaScript object. JSON stands for JavaScript object notation, so it's a very lightweight object. So it is used for data exchange. So now let's go back to our browser and check out what's going on. Refresh. So if I click Pakistan, there's some error, undefined function MySQL. I made a mistake. If I go back to the fetch MySQLi num rows, MySQLi on line number 6, I misspelled that. So if I refresh the browser and if I click Pakistan, so these are the Pakistani cities: Lahore, Pakistan, Islamabad and Faisalabad. So now I have to go back to my JavaScript file, and I have to parse this JSON object. So for this I'm gonna create a new variable, db response, which could be anything, any variable name. It shouldn't has to be jQuery response. jQuery dot parse JSON, and this function will parse this JSON object. Paste. I have to create another function, actually not function but variable. Var str or whatever. Okay, so now after parsing this object, this is an array now. So I have to display this data on my HTML page, and for this I have to use the loop because I have more than one values. So in this array, if I have 5 values, so I supposed to display all 5 values. So the loop would be the best option to choose from. Var I, the initial value is gonna be 0 and I is less than db response dot length and I plus plus. Okay, so the result will be displayed in the form of paragraph or whatever. I think I should display the result in the form of ordered list. That would look a little better. Okay, so initially I'm gonna assign this OL tag to this str variable. So on each looping iteration, I'm gonna append this string and the data as well. So how I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna write str equals to str plus this plus is a concatenation operator. Li plus plus li, the closing li tag. So this will be containing my response, db underscore response, which is an array, and here's a looping variable. Okay, so as soon as this loop terminates, so I have to concatenate the closing order list tag. Str equals to str plus ol. So now it's time to display the result. I'm gonna target this div, the result div, which has an ID result, hash result. I'm gonna use jQuery HTML function, and I'm gonna pass this string variable to this function. Perfect. So let's check our application. If I go back and if I refresh the page, if I select Pakistan, so nothing has happened. I think there's something wrong. Let's go back and fix this. If I display the values over here, I just want to make sure if I successfully pass this object. If that was parsed, then it should work properly. Console.log and db underscore response, the looping variable. I'm gonna comment this. If I go back, if I select Pakistan, yeah, there is something wrong with this function. This one, jQuery.parse.json. Parse.json. If I go back to the browser, yeah, there is something wrong with this function, because if I comment this entire piece of code and if I just make sure if the response is returning from the server or not, console.log, and if I pass this variable server data, if I refresh the page, it's working properly. So actually it's not passing this object. jQuery dot JSON refresh. If I select Pakistan, actually there is something wrong with this function. And if I go back and instead of writing lowercase j, if I write uppercase j, what's gonna happen then? The same error, jQuery is not defined. Let me Google this. Actually, I'm writing this exact function. I'm writing the exact function, but it's not working in my script. It's not parsed. I misspelled that. If I go back to my browser and if I select Pakistan, so now it's working properly. So this is the resultant array that was passed from the JSON object. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it right here. I'm gonna delete this line. I'm also gonna comment this. So now it's time to recheck our application. If I click Pakistan, there is something wrong once again. DB response length length. I misspelled that. Okay, so now if I check this in my browser, if I refresh the page, Pakistan, DB underscore response is not defined. What the heck is this? Response. Oh my god, I again misspelled that. DB response is not defined. Let me give it some other name. If I go back and refresh the browser, Pakistan, so you can see it's working properly. If I click India, here's the Indian cities. If I click Canada, here's the Canadian cities, and if I click Pakistan, so these are the Pakistani cities. Okay, so hope you like this video lesson, and if you get stuck anywhere, you can come to me, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Alright then, take care, bye bye.